What's going on, everyone? It is Paul, the 920 trader with 920 Trading and Trading Decoded. Today is, what is Thursday? It's Thursday, February 8th, 2024. And this is how we traded SPY today. So the first thing we're going to do, folks, and yes, do a little camera action on me today. The first thing we're going to do, again, every single day is we're going to look at pre-market. Okay, so we're going to look at pre-market high. So interestingly enough, pre-market high today, we also had a 30-minute demand zone. Actually, that's a 30-minute supply zone, not a demand zone. Double top. So it's a 30-minute double top and supply zone from yesterday, sitting here at this level at 498.34. So we've got that level mapped out. We also have our pre-market low. I didn't put a line down here at about 497.20. So one of the first things I do every single morning is I look at, obviously, pre-market low, pre-market high, to see what we could potentially do during the day. Now, today, we had a grand total of $1.14. So at $1.14, you're thinking, you know what? We've had all of these runs. We've had these all-time highs. Are we really going to get anything out of the market today? I don't know. Now, what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to bias the people in the community. I didn't want to bias the people in the community and say, you know what, based on, $1.14, we probably won't do a whole lot today. But that's kind of how it played out. I wanted to, but at the same time, I don't want to give folks a bias. Now, we did get into, before the market opened, I did talk about that with the community and said, hey, listen, this is all we got. If we can break out of one of these zones, either to the upside or the downside, we could get some movement either way. But again, it's $1.14. So our other lines are 5-minute quadruple top. This is going to be from regular trading hours. We had a 5-minute pre-market double bottom right in here, folks, and a 30-minute double bottom, which, again, pre-market double bottom. Now, I did go ahead and put this on the chart, 497.11. That's a demand zone from yesterday. So the question is, are we going to go down and hit that demand zone? I have no earthly idea. That's the beauty of trading, folks. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. That is why, again, I am a huge believer in when your edge presents itself, you put on the trade without a bias. That's all we can do as traders. We have to go with what we see in front of us. A bias says, I think it's going to go up, or I think it's going to go down, or I don't think it's going to do anything today. We don't know. I mean, we can make kind of some, guesses based on the fact that, number one, we didn't have a whole lot of volume in pre-market. That's kind of a big indicator. But again, no bias. So let's just kind of take the trades as they come to us. If there are trades available, we put on those trades. So let's get into the day. All right, so you can see right off the bat, I've got a couple of different things. Okay, so I am not only marking my entrances, but I'm also marking my exits. So my entrances are going to be either a smiley face or a goofy face. If it's a goofy face, it's a trade that didn't work out. So I've got entrances, I've got exits are going to be the green check mark. Now you can see pre-mark, or, right as we opened up today, we went up and we got this pre-market high. So I'm thinking, you know what, let's see if we can run it up a little bit higher. Didn't do anything. And again, we had this cross in pre-market. So I am not going to play anything right out of the gate. I'll wait for that first cross, either to the upside or the downside, depending on kind of what happens. So had this death cross. It was a really, really nice death cross in here at 940. So at 940, we crossed the 9, we crossed the 20. We had the POC sitting right in here. So we crossed all 4 of those things, including VWAP, on the same candle. You can think back to yesterday, it worked out. 2 days ago, I took that same type of trade. It didn't work out. Yesterday it did. Today, and you're thinking, why? You've got 2 faces on this chart right here. Why do you have 2 faces? Well, as luck would have it, I got into this trade, and about 15 seconds, 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds after I put on the trade, guess what I did? I closed it out for some unknown reason. I don't know. I just hit the wrong button. It happens. It was a trading error. Oh, well, it happened. Move on to the next trade. It was a green trade. It wasn't much. There wasn't much there. But I was targeting this area down here for the low. How much room was in that trade? You got 90 down to 73. What do you got? You got 17 cents. Not a whole lot. But you're kind of at this point, if you can break through this level of support right here and get a breach below this level, this 497.73, and hold below that level. We're going to hold on, turn this into resistance, and see if we can push it lower. It didn't happen. So I would have probably marketed out given the fact that we did not get a close below that level. But at any rate, I didn't. I was in and out of that trade in probably, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, something like that. Okay, so next trade, I'm waiting for the cross to the upside. I'm waiting to breach VWAP. Now, I would imagine that the POC is probably somewhere right around here at this point. I don't know, because at the end of the day, it goes away anyway. But anyway, took this trade right in here because I was above the 9, I was above the 20, and I was above the VWAP. I would venture to say that I was probably above the POC also, with the first target up here. And I thought at this point, you know what? Put one in the bag. Closed it out up here. Short trade, small trade was probably the right thing. Well, it was the best thing to do. Not necessarily the right thing to do, because we did get this close above this level. At this point, you're thinking, you know what? Let's see if we can go get a run up here. But I closed it out. Didn't play anything, back to the downside in here. Very well could have, but it was choppy. It was choppy. Very, 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 very choppy. And again, remember, we had $1.14 to work with. So from the bottom to the top of pre-market, $1.14. We're going to talk about this here in a few minutes. The fact that there just wasn't a whole lot of movement. I said this in the group earlier, and I will say it here. It is always better it's kind of like flying an airplane. It's always better to be on the ground and wish you were in the air than to be in the air and wish you were on the ground. It's the same thing with trading, folks. It's better to not be in a trade and wish you were than to be in a trade and wish you weren't. It's the same thing. So didn't take anything in here back to the downside. Again, would have been a good trade, recapture the 9, that kind of thing on this trade. But again, you don't have a whole lot to work with. You got this target down here. We didn't hit it this time. So I took it back to the upside on this trade right here. Again, quick trade. I don't know. It was green. That's all I know. Now, on this next trade to the downside, I did, because I was thinking, you know what? We got down here on the last trade. So let's see if we can take this back to the downside. Again, short trade up here, closed it out when we breached this level, marketed out because, again, having a hard time getting through this level, and I didn't know if this 498.34, I didn't know if it was in play. At any rate, waited for the confirmation to get into this particular play. In other words, I waited until we breached VWAP to the downside. I had a couple of different targets in mind. I had my first target being 497.73 right here. Again, double bottom from pre-market. So we can always use those pre-market lines throughout the day, whether it's a 5-minute double bottom, double top, 30-minute double top, double bottom. So you've got typically a supply zone up top, demand zone down bottom. So anyway, I took this trade right in here, realizing that I didn't have a whole lot of risk, very, very little risk. I was gonna use the 9 obviously as my stop if it went above that. So we went down in the first couple of minutes and took out this level down here. I'm thinking, you know what? We got down here before. Let's see if we can get down there again. Now, it kind of turned hairy. Not necessarily hairy. There's nothing scary about trading. It's just a plan, folks. Our only job as traders is to, number 1, have a plan, and number 2, stick to your plan, whatever that plan is. Wins and losses literally don't matter. The only thing that matters is your ability to execute according to your trading plan. So back to this trade right here. So we ran down, took out this level down here, didn't get a close. I'm thinking, you know what? We got down here earlier. Let's see if we can get down there again. Reversed on me. I gave it a little bit of wiggle room up to the 20. Rejected off the 20, came back down. Now we captured this area down here. So at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? Let's go make this run down here. It didn't do it. A couple minutes later, we ran back up, and I was thinking, you know what? I could have an L on the books on this one. It could turn into a losing trade, but again, that's okay. We're following the plan. But I'm looking at the 9. The 9 still pointing down. The 20 still pointing down. I had VWAP as my stop. Had we breached and closed above VWAP at that point, the trade thesis is pretty much invalid at that point. So I would have closed out of that trade, but I did not. I just trusted the process and trusted that the VWAP would push it down lower if we didn't, or as long as we stayed under VWAP on the closes. I don't concern myself with wicks so much. I'm looking for bodies. I'm looking for closes. At any rate, we were able to recapture the 9 back to the downside, and a few minutes later, boom, we got to our level. So I'm looking at 497.41. And you're probably thinking, you got to the level, why didn't you close out the trade? Well, I didn't close out the trade for a very, very specific reason. Remember, we're shooting for levels. If we can breach and hold below that level, let's see if we can push down to that next level, that 497.11, which would have turned a really, really good trade, or a good trade, into a really, really good trade back to the downside. Guess what? It didn't do it. I was in the group, gave it a couple minutes, and I said, okay, guys, if we breach this level and close above this level again, I'm going to close out the trade. So I closed out the trade right in here. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 for 4 at this point with very, very little movement. It was a very, very difficult day to trade, folks. There were some scalps available, but a lot of plays, they just turned out to be not so good. Again, this area looks like it's a big area. This is literally, what is this? It's a 28-cent zone right here. And when you're taking, 15 minutes to get to a zone on 28 cents. So in this case, it was, hey, you're 8 minutes. So you're 8 minutes to get to a zone, a 28-cent zone, folks. And then you have pullbacks. You're getting chopped up, and you are very, very fortunate, particularly playing 0 DTEs. You're very, very fortunate to come out on the good side of the trade, even if the underlying, so if SPY is moving your direction, the pullbacks and theta, again, the time decay of money, those can potentially get you. But anyway, at that point, I said, you know what? I'm done for the day. What time was it? It was early, folks. We were 3 hours into the trading day at this point, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm done for the day. And I was done for the day. And I told the people in the community, I said, hey, listen, number one, predefine your risk. If you have a good setup, put on the trade, but it has to be a really, really good setup. Make sure you know exactly how much risk you have every time you get into the play. It's no different than any other trading day, with the exception of there just wasn't a whole lot of movement. There just wasn't very much going on. Again, we had plays to the upside, took out this 498.12 up here, came down. But again, these plays were taking a long time to develop. Now, one of our members was in puts. He's in puts off this 498.12 and said, you know what? He said, I think we're going to go down and take out 498. I think he said 498.10. I've got 498.11. So 498.10, 498.11. It's the same thing. And I was getting ready to go to lunch, and I said, listen, I said, there's nothing at this point to suggest that we're going to be able to breach this level right here, 497.41, and continue down. So if you can get close, and he had quite a few puts, a sizable position. I said, if we can get down to, if you get a close below that 497.11, hold on to the trade. If you struggle getting down to that level, close out the trade. He didn't. Now, funny thing happened. At 1:01 on the Eastern Seaboard, they had something called the 30-year bond auction. Yesterday, we had the 10-year bond auction. It did absolutely nothing. But the bond auction can do something in the market, and today is no different. We had massive volume that poured in to the buy side, 411,000 shares on this candle right here. Now, he had the opportunity to close out this trade, down here, and it would have been a really, really good trade. We failed to get lower, and again, we had that bond auction coming up. He could have closed it out anywhere in here. You breach, you have a double cross to the upside. That's kind of one of those signals that, you know what, it might be a good idea to close it out, particularly with the bond auction coming up. But he didn't. He didn't close out the trade. 411 or whatever thousand, 411,000 shares to the buy side, and it just flew. It just flew through 497.23 through this 12 level up here. Now, this is 28 cents. There's not a whole lot, or 38, whatever that is, 38 cents, 40 cents, whatever that is. Not a lot, but enough to say, you know what, that's kind of a big time screw up right there. I should have closed out the trade. It shoulda, woulda, coulda. when you have something like a bond auction, there are three levels of reports that come out throughout the day. There's basically a yellow folder, there's an orange folder, and a red folder. If it's a yellow folder report, you really don't have too much to worry about. If it's an orange level folder, meaning kind of a higher risk, or it tends to have more effect on the market, pay attention to it. Maybe at least consider closing your trade before that report comes out. Because if it goes in your direction, you're going to be in really good shape. If it goes against you, you're absolutely hosed. And then there's the red folder. Today was an orange folder, and look what it did. I mean, it absolutely flew up. It killed the puts. Anybody who was still in puts at that time didn't necessarily get destroyed, but it made their day much, much worse on this one candle. Now, we were able to, we just kind of bounced around for a little bit, made this run up to, kind of bounced around, checked out VWAP, made a run back to the upside. We got to that 498.34. So 498, we finally took it out. We, tried to punch it early in the day. Punched it right here, bounced around. Again, at this point, I'm thinking, you know what? We're still dealing with $1.14. And the time that it's taking to get to specific levels, I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze. And I just don't know how much juice is in the squeeze to begin with. But anyway, bounced around. Had he held on to that trade, which would have been foolish to do because you're way outside of your risk profile at that point, had he held on, he probably would have been all right, but maybe he did. I don't know. I haven't checked with him. That's not important. What's important is predefine your risk. I don't know that he did. I don't know the outcome. Theta probably kicked his tail to the point where it wasn't a winning trade anyway. So we had a couple cross, we had a cross down, up, just kind of bounced around. But what we were doing, folks, is we were kind of making little bases along the way. So we had little bases along the way. So at this point, when we took out this level again, this 497.73, excellent support, again, from that 5-minute double bottom. The last time we took it out, notwithstanding this area right here, we had a nice little run. So it took a run back to the upside. Each time that we touched that level, we had to run back to the upside. So what we're assuming that we're picking up more buyers at this level and running up. And again, don't pay any attention to this total algo move based on the bond auction. So this little move right here, again, I wasn't in this play. Best play of the day, though. Absolute best play of the day. Very, very low risk at two different levels. Number one, you had this fishtail play right here. Again, the fishtail is the space between the 9 and the 20 because sometimes it looks like a fishtail. Your risk on this play would have been from 81 down to 73. If you took a breach below 73, you're out of the play. 8 cents, super, super low risk play. Your next level is directly above that on that next candle. So how much risk do you have there? Well, you've got VWAP right here. That's always good support when you're above, and when you're below, that's good resistance. So you had very, very little. So we're at what are we at? 87. You're at 90. You've got 3 cents, 4 cents, 5 cents worth of risk. That is very, very low risk. We had a couple of our members that actually jumped into this play. Most of them, once we breached VWAP to the upside with targets, looking for targets. So riding the 9 up to the targets, depending on what it does at the targets, you take the trade off the table. Some folks took the trade off the table here at this 498.12. A good, strong place, a good, solid place to take the trade off the table based on what we've done over here. Now, if we're assuming these highs over here, you can let it ride a little bit more. A couple of our members took out the trade on the breach. Again, a very, very solid move, a solid reason to take the trade off the table. Because again, we just touched it. We didn't breach it. We didn't hold. Now, eventually we did. We ran back up. Didn't even test the 9. We tested the 9 back in here, but didn't test the 9. But at any rate, we made another all-time high. Look at this up here. So 498.59. Before that, yesterday's high was 498.53, I believe. So we made another all-time high. Ran down, had a nice little curl off the top, crossed to the downside. Again, we are super, super late in the day at this point. Any pullbacks, and again, not a whole lot of movement, but any pullbacks are going to destroy you. When you have pullbacks and theta, you don't have any time to recover in the play. There's a little bit of movement back, again, back to the downside, but look at what it did right in here on that after close. I mean, it just went absolutely bonkers. Came down here at the end of the day, took out VWAP. 350 candle right in here. It was a nice green candle. The vast majority of the time, the 350 candle determines the direction for the rest of the day. Today, not so much. So if people are thinking, you know what, I'm going to take the 350 candle because it's green, you're literally directly below known resistance right there at 498.34. If you took that play, you probably got smashed pretty quickly in that play. But again, not enough movement for me today to justify taking a play. But again, that's just me. So that's how we trade SPY today. And this is me for you that haven't seen me before. This is me in all my glory. But again, this is how we did it today. These are the levels. This is what we're looking at. Not a great day. It was a good day for some. There was money to be made, but you had to be absolutely on your game. I was talking to one of our members, and he said, you know what? Days like today make you follow your rules, which in turns makes you a better trader. And I couldn't agree more. Number one, we always have to follow our rules. If we don't, we're just gambling. We're just throwing crap on the wall and calling it artwork. But days like today force you to follow your rules. And it's days like today that will, they'll make you a better trader. And days like today, when you're able to hold on to those trades and hit your levels, they will allow you to, moving forward, hang on to those good trades and take those where they, to their natural conclusion again. But that's how we did it today. Now, if you enjoy our videos, if you enjoy our content, please consider giving us a like and a subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the notifications so that way when we drop new content, you can see the content. Also, leave us a comment. We greatly appreciate all the comments. Share with your friends. We would appreciate that too. Now, if you're interested in the 920 crossover strategy, head over to 920trading.com. There's a link in the description down below. Go ahead and hit that. All of the information is there. We're not going to charge you anything. The only thing that costs you is the time to go over there and check it all out. Also, don't forget to sign up for our free weekly newsletter. Every Saturday, I put out a newsletter. It's got some good tidbits of information in it, I think, and the people who subscribe, they think so too. Now, if you're interested in live daily trading, there is a link down below for our live trading Discord. It's called Trading Decoded. We are there every single day from bell to bell. So we're going to talk about exactly what we're talking about right now, but we're talking about it in real time. So everything is real time. Now, again, we're not a call out service. We never tell people when to get into trades. We don't do that. We would rather teach people how to fish so that long term they're able to fish and feed themselves. Same thing with trading. But we will give, based on the 920 and based on different levels of support and resistance, we'll say, okay, if you get into a trade right here, this is your risk. Or based on the principles of the 920 strategy, this is a good place to take a trade. Or this is not a good place to take a trade, in our opinion. So those are the kinds of things that we do. We never say get into a trade or take the trade off the table. We give reasons for getting in, reasons for getting out, reasons for staying in, or reasons for staying out. So that's what we do as a community. But again, come check it out. It's Trading Decoded. The link is down below. We would love to have you. We're going to give you that first week for free. Also, if you're interested in getting on a 30-minute call with me, I'm happy to do that. Every single one of our members has that opportunity to get on at least one, maybe multiple 30-minute calls. If you're struggling, hey, check it out. We can do a live call directly on Discord. I share my screen. We can go over plays. We can talk about the psychology of trading. Whatever you need help with, we are absolutely 100% willing to help you and help you become the trader that you can be. But anyway, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us this afternoon. I really enjoy this stuff, folks. I really enjoy helping people become better traders. But again, thanks for spending your time with us. We're going to do this again tomorrow. Hopefully we have a better day in the market tomorrow. But it is what it is. We just trade what is in front of us. So again, have a great day, everybody. And we will see you in the markets.